Thank you so much. And you did it, that was named after your wife and written for her. What's her name? Rosilo? Rosilo. Thank you very much. The title of my talk today is Embracing the Self You've Rejected. I'd like to start by sharing with you a story. An old Trappist monk tells a story about a magic monastery where the true gifts of spiritual life can be found. I knew there were many interesting sights, but I didn't want any more of the little answers. I wanted the big answer. So I asked the guest master to show me directly to the house of God. I sat myself down, quite willing to wait for the big answer. I remained silent all day, far into the night. I looked God in the eye. I guess he was looking me in the eye. Late at night, I seemed to hear a voice. What are you leaving out? I looked around. I heard it again. What are you leaving out? Was it my imagination? Soon it was all around me, whispering, roaring, what are you leaving out? What are you leaving out? Was I cracking up? I managed to get to my feet and head for the door. I wanted the comfort of a human face or a human voice. Nearby was the corridor where some of the monks live. I knocked on one cell. What do you want? Came a sleepy voice. What am I leaving out? Me, he answered. I went to the next door. What do you want? What am I leaving out? Me. A third cell, a fourth, all the same. I thought they're all stuck on themselves. I left the building in disgust. Then just before the sun was coming up, I had never spoken to the sun before, I realized, but I heard myself pleading, what am I leaving out? The sun too answered me. Me! That finished me. I threw myself on the ground, and the earth said, me too. It is in deep and honest listening to whatever has been left out, or feared, or judged. It is in deep listening to these parts of ourself and to life that our freedom will be found. And if we don't choose to look and listen, that which is unattended will find us. The lost parts of ourself will present themselves knocking ever louder if we don't listen to their cries. Then we end up hearing their voices in divorce or depression, in illness or some strange failure. If we do listen to and welcome all parts of ourselves, we will find that they enrich our garden as compost, as nourishment for life itself. These quotes are from the book After the Ecstasy, The Laundry by Jack Kornfield. So, think about your life for a minute. What parts of yourself have you rejected? What parts of yourself don't you trust? What parts do you have judgment about? What parts do you fear in yourself? What parts of your life are still in the dark, waiting attention, waiting to be dealt with? We must be courageous. We must shine the light of spiritual awareness on all the parts of ourself. I was writing a book. People used to say to me, you've had such an interesting life. I was a roller skating car hop. I was an opera singer. I was a missionary in Mexico. I've just had all these interesting experiences. And so people used to say, you should write a book about your life. So I took a vacation one year. I sat down and I wrote 27 chapters. It just came spilling out of me. I guess I needed to really look at how things had unfolded. And I got to one part, and then I went, oh no. I stopped, and I never picked it up again. I could not go on. I really not want to look at a certain part of my life. I had fallen into a way of living in New York City that I really couldn't respect. I was heavily drinking. I was smoking a lot of pot. I was just living in a way, that wasn't all. I was living in a really rather degraded way. I could not bring compassion or understanding to that part of my experience. I just wanted to forget about it. I just wanted to turn away from it. I was so glad it wasn't there anymore. But I had fear. I had judgment. I had confusion. I had shame. So I stopped writing. I looked away. I could not embrace that part of me. I wanted to disown it. Buddha says you can search the tenfold universe and not find a single being more worthy of loving kindness than yourself. Sometimes it is our self-hatred and our sense of unworthiness that's the problem. And healing and freedom of the heart will only come through loving the self that we have rejected. So how do we do that? There's a wonderful quote. I can't remember where it came from. But the quote said that as spiritual beings, we must embrace the whole catastrophe. I just love that thought. We must embrace the whole catastrophe. I loved Tim's opening affirmative prayer. We've made bad decisions. Some of us have made catastrophic decisions in our lives. And yet we must embrace the whole thing. We must embrace ourselves and love ourselves and bring compassion and even mercy to those parts of our lives that we don't even want to remember. We don't even want to think about. The quote from the book says that which is unattended will find you. That which you refuse to embrace, that which you refuse to deal with, will find you. And we know that life shows up at the level of our beliefs and attitudes. And life shows up according to the tendency of our thought. So if there's some part of your life that you are ashamed of, that you have rejected, that you have judged, that you hate, some part of yourself that you have not embraced with compassion and understanding, that's going to find you. It's going to show up. You know, a lot of times there's just a big part that we're ignoring. There's something called covering and cultivating the 4 foundations of sacred awareness. I like this idea. 4 foundations of sacred awareness. There's the body, there's the emotions, the mind, and the basic principles governing life. There are 4 areas: family, community, your livelihood, and the relations to the world at large. So consciousness in one area does not necessarily transfer to other parts of our life. Have you ever noticed Olympic athletes sometimes are highly tuned and highly aware of their physicality, and that sometimes they're emotionally immature or mentally undeveloped? Hence the word dumb jock. Certain brilliant intellectuals may suffer from complete ignorance and disregard of their bodies or their emotions. Sometimes intellectualism is a way of feeling like you're more in control. If I live up in the ivory tower of my intellect, I don't have to deal with this messy emotionality, this messy thing called feelings. And others who are very conscious of their feelings and they're very good in human relationships can be utterly unconscious of their beliefs and attitudes that are limiting them in other ways. So every area that is still unconscious brings with it suffering, brings with it conflict and limitation. It's very important to awaken all areas of ourselves. So I'm going to ask you to do a little meditation with me. Close your eyes for a moment. And I'm going to say that every part of your being is available to help you. I'd like you to tune into your body for a minute. You know, we play Kill the Messenger in America. When the body has a message for us, we take a pill. We cut it out. We ignore it. But the body is your friend. It has a message. Tune into your body for a minute. What message does it have for you? Is it suggesting you eat something other than fast food? Is it asking you to take a walk now and then? Is there some part of your body that is related in some way to some part of your experience in the realm of relationships? Is your heart telling you something? If you feel unsupported, maybe your back is hurting, listen to the message that your body is trying to give you. If you can get the little messenger and honor that messenger, the big messenger doesn't have to come. So for a moment, tune into your body and see if it has a message for you. Something that you need to shine the light on and embrace and love. Now tune into your emotions for a moment. What emotions have been trying to get your attention? Our emotions are our friends. They're meant to tell us and inform us of where we are and how we feel and what needs to be addressed. Is there some part of your emotions that you've been shutting down, ignoring, squashing? Have you been trying to medicate your emotions? This needs to have a light shined on it. So listen for a moment to your emotional body. What is the message it has for you? And now listen to your mind for a moment. What is the tendency of your thought? How is your thought limiting your experience of good? Your thought is trying to show you something. It's showing you where you are and why you're there. Please open your eyes. It doesn't hurt to take a few moments every day to listen to the messages of the body, to listen to the messages of our emotions, to listen and eavesdrop upon the tendency of our thought. Because life always shows up at the level of your beliefs and attitudes. Life always shows up at the level of the tendency of your thought. You can only attract into your life that which you are. It's a rule. It's a law. Life is a mirror. It says you're here. If you don't like what you see in that mirror, bring that spiritual awareness to that part of your life. Don't reject it. Don't hate it. Don't condemn it. Don't walk away and just go, I don't want to look at that. Look at the whole catastrophe, the whole experience of who and what you are, who and what you've been, and who and what you can be. Because the bottom line is, it's all beautiful. It's all perfect. I loved that Tim mentioned that in his opening prayer. The body, relationships, money, sexuality, family, community, politics. We may think that these are areas that are dangerous, that hold traps for us. But there is an underlying unity to all things. Everything is a part of the sacred whole in which we exist. We do not need to fear these parts of the world or ourselves. We only need to fear our confusion about them. We need to bring respect and compassion to those parts of ourselves that we don't like so much, to those parts of our history that we feel are bad or destructive. We need to bring not only compassion and respect, but we need to meet them with mercy. We need to meet them with mercy and say, this too is the divine. This too is of God. It's leading me somewhere. It has a message for me. There's a lovely quote from the book that I'm teaching class with, This Thing Called You. It's one of my favorite things that Dr. Ernest Holmes ever said. He said, if you can see God in everything, then God will look back at you through everything. If you can see God in everything, then God will look back at you through everything. This includes your entire history as a human being. And this includes everybody else. One of the great things about the baggy ministry, as we call it, is that we have made a conscious choice to see God in this person. I did a mediation this week with a group of people that were having a lot of problems in their office. And at the very end of the mediation, we sang a simple song, You Are the Face of God. And it goes like this. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. Sing that with me, will you? You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. What if we could sing that and say that about absolutely everything, including ourselves, including that self in New York City that was living a really degraded life. It was doing all kinds of things that she never thought it was possible for her to do. What if we could sing that to the part of ourselves that we dislike the most and say, I am willing to see God in this. I am willing to embrace that some part of the infinite is working through this circumstance, through this condition, through this experience to bring me into a higher plane of existence, a greater experience of joy, peace, love, happiness, prosperity. What if we could look at our worst failures in life and say, I bless you. There is divinity in this because it's bringing me through to a greater experience of the divine, to a greater experience of myself. Ernest Holmes further said, God can only do for you what God can do through you. So what would it take for God to do something through me that's wonderful? What would it take for me to get to the place where that infinite spirit can flow right through me and be fabulous in all that it does, in every word it speaks, in every relationship? Ernest Holmes said it would be well to think of it in this way, so that you don't condemn yourself. You were like everyone else, an infant crying in the night, something trying to be made whole, something with a deep yearning for security, a deep and unspeakable longing for love, for protection, for peace. If you could put the parts of yourself, parts of your life that you don't like, that you haven't been able to embrace in that context, there's a part of you that's still a baby. There's a part of you that doesn't know how to do love, or a part of you that doesn't know how to do peace, or doesn't know how to do forgiveness. There's a part of you that is crying out to be embraced, to be held, to be protected, to be understood. And if you could meet that part of you with great compassion, with great love, with great mercy and gentleness, then you can bring the light of love and healing into that part of yourself, and you can embrace the whole thing, the whole catastrophe. Only it can turn out not to be a catastrophe. It can turn out to be a story of victory. Ernest Holmes said, what thought has done, thought can undo. It can remove every obstruction and gradually implant new patterns in your life. So pay attention this week. Pay Pay attention to self-criticism. Pay attention to the desire to look away from past errors, to kind of sweep them under the rug or hide them in the closet. And bring them out into the light and look at them full on. Face that part of yourself and say, this too, I am willing to embrace with mercy, with compassion, with love, with light. I am willing to pick up that infant part of myself and give it love, compassion, security, protection, tenderness. It's very important that you embrace the whole thing. Shine the light on all parts of yourself. All the parts you've rejected, judged, criticized, feared, or felt confusion or conflicted about. Bring that quality of mercy. Remember, there is one life. This life is God. This life is my life now. We want to take down all the walls. We want to remove all the obstructions. We want to take down all the things that limit us, that keep us from being fully open-hearted, healthy in body, sound in mind, thinking thoughts that create only good. We could do this. In fact, you could come to some classes here and learn how to do it. We don't like to tell you what to think, but how to think in ways that are peaceful and productive, self-loving. In fact, turn to the person next to you and tell them your name and say, "You are wonderful." Now turn to the person on the other side and tell them, "You are perfect." Now everybody hug yourself and say, "Wonderful, wonderful me. I love all the parts of myself. I honor all the parts of myself. I celebrate my history, even the yucky parts." In fact, I take the word yucky off of all those parts and I say, "This too is divine." Thank you. You're such good sports. And there's a wonderful song. I'm going to invite you to sing it with me. We've done it before. It goes like this: I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. One more time now. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. One more time. Yeah. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. Okay, get with it. First, you got to love yourself. If you can't love and accept all parts of yourself, it's really hard to love other people. So I challenge you to embrace the whole catastrophe and turn it into a fabulous victory. And so it is.